A couple of days ago I've shown you the Ceramicspeed oversized pulley wheel system for SRAM ETAP systems, and to be honest I had some minor issues with the setup which I have luckily managed to solve, and it works perfectly now. But it wasn't completely straightforward. So I decided to share my experiences with the Shimano version as well, which I have installed a few days ago. So here it is. This is also the coated version, which should be more durable and a bit smoother as well. The chain is basically an uncut chain from Shimano, I think 114 links. So that's on par with Ceramicspeed recommendations. And in the Shimano version, this works completely fine. And I think the main reason is that it doesn't rely that much on the B screw adjustment, because let me just cycle into the smallest gear. Yeah. So now you can see that it's not actually the smallest, but doesn't make too much difference. Okay, so on the SRAM version it has a bit of a different geometry, and the derailleur upper pulley is basically pressed directly against the small cogs if you don't have any chain tension in there. So you can dial in the B screw, which makes the shifting a lot worse and could make the chain skip, or you can just properly adjust your chain and you're good to go, which is what I did. And then if you have the chain correctly set up, a bit tighter than on the Shimano system, then the shifting is perfect and you get very small B gap. So everything is fine, and recently I've installed the 32 cassette on it and it works brilliantly. But now to the Shimano system, you can see here that the B screw in this case is completely wound out. Let me just shift even lower. Okay. And as you can see, the cassette doesn't have a tendency, the upper pulley wheel doesn't have the tendency to ride on the cassette, even though there is very little tension in either direction, and that's just down to the different geometry of the Shimano derailleur. So I found this a bit suspicious, because this way, even though the B gap screw is wound all the way out, you get pretty much a huge gap in every gear, even if you we're in big now, and the gap is larger than you'd normally want with standard pulley. So I didn't just want to give this to the customer without trying, so I had a ride on it. I tried to apply as much torque as possible in every gearing combination, but if set up this way, the SRAM would definitely skip on the high torque, but the Shimano system works fine. So keep that in mind. They need a bit of a different adjustment in both systems. Also, by design, the Shimano system, even the stock pulley wheel system, they run a much lower chain tension, so that should mean a bit lower friction and a bit worse shifts. On the SRAM version, I didn't notice any detriment in shift speed, but that by nature is a bit slower than on the Shimano system, but here the shifting is a bit slower than normal, but it's still very fast and still very smooth. You just get a bit of, I would say, 0.1 or 0.2 seconds delay compared to standard if you are shifting on a high torque, so it's completely fine in a triathlon or time trial, but even in a road race you don't win or lose by the speed of your shifting, so it should work fine. On this system, again, I set it up for training for now, so I swapped the oil in the pulley wheels for Ceramicspeed Blue Grease, which is the standard one. And another thing that few people mention is that actually when, for example, in summer or when racing, you still want to run the oil, then both the SRAM and Shimano versions have this tiny oiling port here, so just press the little bottle, squeeze it up there, and oil runs directly through the bearings, so they are easy to lubricate, and you can't do this with your regular system, which is a bit of a niggle I've had with my previous non-oversized Ceramicspeed pulleys, that they were sometimes a bit of a headache to keep properly maintained, but they should solve that as well. Another good thing to use on the Shimano systems, I just got completely out of focus, sorry about that, is I use a SRAM quick link on every single bike I build or use. This is just because the ease of maintenance. I've mentioned in previous videos I use a Vox-based lube, so with that, in case you need some cleaning, or if you're using molten speed wax, so you need to cook your chain every now and then, it's a great thing. You don't need a standard pin anymore, and you don't need to mess around with riveting your chain. They say that this should be only used once. Well, I have quick links that I've used engaged and disengaged more than 20 times, and they were completely fine. But for a race or big event, you should definitely put a new one just to be sure. Okay, so these were my setup tips and recommendations for setting up oversized pulley wheel systems for Shimano. I hope you find this useful, because no one really mentions it, or I haven't found anything about this topic. And if you want some other tips, or you want to see more content about cool bikes like this one, then don't forget to check out my channel and subscribe. This is all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.